Hello and welcome. I am super excited for this video because in this video we will be building a complete weather application from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Also, if you are a beginner, then I will suggest that this video will be very helpful because in this video we will be covering most of the basic stuff which you need to build a front-end application. So let me give you some demonstration right now. If we enter some location, suppose New York, and then if we hit the search button, there we go. We will get the total weather information of New York. So now the temperature information, there is the temperature, there is the feels like, humidity is 60% right now. The weather information, the weather is clouds and the weather condition is overcast clouds, and we have the wind information, the degree and the wind speed. And also we have this image here which indicates the current weather of that particular place. So if I reset everything, I'll hit the reset button, and if I do Florida and hit the search button again, see, everything is changed. So the location is now Orlando, US. The temperature information is different. The weather information is rain, and weather condition is light rain. And then we have the wind information, degree, wind speed, and also this image is changed, right? So this is basically the application. Also, I want to show you one other thing. If I do some other things like Tokyo and hit the search button, so we have the weather information for Tokyo. And if we reset the button and if we enter something which do not exist, something like some place like this gibberish, and if we hit the search button, see, we have a nice error message like, hey, we are not able to find the weather for the place which is entered in the search bar. So yeah, if we reset that, and we can use that application once again. So yes, this is basically the overview of the application. I hope you enjoy this video, and let's get started building this awesome application. So before starting building out our application, we have to make sure that we have everything necessary in our machine installed to build this application. So first of all, you need the Node.js. So just go to nodejs.org and you can download the Node.js here. I will recommend to download the LTS version. Uh, at this time of recording, the version is 20.11.0. You can go with the current versions as well. So yeah, next, why we need Node.js? Because we will be using Vite for building out our application. I know you might be thinking like Vite is being used to create the React applications or the Vue.js applications, but we can use Vite with Vanilla.js applications as well, and which we will be doing right now. Okay, so to get the data of the weather, we will be using the OpenWeatherMap API. So you can go to openweathermap.org or just search in Google OpenWeatherMap, and the first thing should be this one. So, and you have to create an account here. Just click the login button and you can create the account. So I have created my account. This is why I have my name here. Also, the Node.js installation is quite simple. It is just next, click I agree, that is it. And after installing Node.js, you can open your terminal. Okay, I am opening the PowerShell with Windows terminal. You can use anything, you can use git bash, anything. And now what you can do, you can do node dash version, and I am getting the latest version, which is the 20.11.0. and with Node.js we have the npm as well. So npm dash version, if we write that, and we are getting the version of the npm as well. So if you are getting the version of the node and the npm, you are good to go. If you are not getting the version, please make sure to install node.js properly. The installation process is quite simple, so nothing to worry about. Okay, so let's get started now. First of all, it is in my root folder right now, as you can see. So this is in my root folder. So what I will do, I'll go to my desktop, to cd desktop. There we go. And now you have to run a command to generate the Vite application. So to do that, you can run npm create Vite @latest. npm create Vite @latest and hit enter. And okay, it is suggesting me to install the create Vite one, so I'll hit Y and hit enter. Now the project name, for me it will be the weather app, but you can use any other project name as well. So weather app and hit enter. Then you can choose many of the frameworks, like we have React, P-React, Lit, Svelte, Solid, and many others, but we will be using the vanilla. So if you are wondering how I am navigating through the different options, I am just using the arrow keys. So make sure that vanilla is selected and hit enter, and you will get two options here, the TypeScript and JavaScript. I will go with the JavaScript. Just hit the down arrow and select that and hit enter, and there we go. And now we have certain commands to run. So which it is suggesting is that cd to the weather app and then npm install and then run npm run dev. So we will do that. But before doing that, just go to the folder cd weather app and do code and dot to open this folder in VS Code. So just hit enter and the VS Code window will open. So this is the window. Okay, now as you can see, there are many of the things going on, but before doing that, you can go to the view and then terminal and open the terminal here as well. So we will be using the inbuilt terminal from now on. Now what we can do, we can run npm install. If we do that, it will take some time and it will install all of the necessary things for us. Okay, now let's go to the sidebar and let's navigate through the files which it has generated. First of all, we have the index.html. This is our main HTML file and which we will be using to uh, create the weather application, the structure of the weather application. So we have two JavaScript files here as well. We have this one, this main.js, which is the one which is being imported here. And we have the counter.js. So let's open the terminal, which is the control and the tilde. So yeah, this is the shortcut, and the tilde key is basically the key just under the escape key in your keyboard. And now what you can do, you can run npm run dev and hit enter. And now what you can see in terminal is our application is running on localhost 5173. So if I control click this one, there we go. This is our application running. So this is the boilerplate code of Vite which it has generated, and this is the application, and we can click on this counter. Okay, but we don't want to create this counter, right? So just go to VS Code and we have to modify many of the things right now. First of all, just go to the counter.js and you can delete this file and it will crash. So just Control C, Y, and there we go. Now what we can do, you can delete this one, javascript.svg as well, delete this, and go to the index.html. See, we have the main.js being imported here, and we have the style.css as well. This is the CSS file. Just just select everything and get rid of everything. So we have the clean CSS file. The JavaScript file, we can just do the same thing, just clear up everything, and there we go. Now this folder structure, I do not like that. So what I can do, I will create another folder. I will call it JS, and I will put this main.js, just drag and drop here. Again, I will create another folder, not inside the JS, but inside the root, and I'll call it styles, and I will drag and drop the styles.css here. Okay, so now we have the JS folder inside which we have the main.js, and we have the styles folder inside which we have the styles.css. Both of the files are empty. Also, you might be thinking there are some other folders. One is the public, which has the v.svg. We do not need to touch it right now. And also we have the node modules folder, which have the packages being used by Vite. Okay, so you don't have to touch the node modules folder at all. Also, we have the package.json file. Here we have the certain things, and we have one deb dependency, which is Vite, which is good. Now we have the scripts as well. So we have the deb script to run our deb server. So this deb server is quite good because whenever we will be making some changes, it will reflect that changes into their website immediately. We have the build command to build out our assets and build out our application. When we will be deploying this application, we will use that. And we have the preview command, by which inside our local development environment, we are able to serve the build files. Okay, so I will be changing this version to version 1.0.0. So there we go. Nothing to change here. You might leave the version as well. So okay, now we have to go to the index.html, and first of all the title, I'll change that to weather app. There we go. And also this main.js file isn't in the root anymore, so we have to get rid of this and do / and then js and then main.js. Okay, now our CSS file is not linked to this file index.html. So what I'll do, I'll create a link tag, and then we have the rel of style sheet, and then we can do / styles and then style.css. There we go. Now if I run this application once again, okay, so just going to the external terminal, because we won't be using the terminal that much. So not yarn, npm run dev, and hit enter, and this will be running at localhost 5173. And if we control key click that, there we go, we have nothing right now. So basically I'll close these tabs. The OpenWeatherMap one will stay. So there we go. So we have nothing right now because our HTML file is empty. So if we go here and then we'll do h1 and then hello world and hit save. See, the moment I save that, the browser window reloads and we have the changes right away. Cool. So this is basically our development setup. So what I'll do, I'll open the styles.css file as well, and I'll open the main.js file as well, not the node modules. We don't have to touch the node modules folder. Okay, So now what we can do, we can do our basic HTML, and then we will be writing some of the styles to style up our application, and then at the later part we will be writing the JavaScript to make our application functional. So now let's start writing our basic HTML. So what I'll do, I have the div with ID app, I'll remove that. After that, what we'll do, we'll have a main tag. There we go. And this main tag will have a class of background. Background. Okay, and inside that we'll have a div which will be the card, like that proper like the card which I have shown you earlier in the video. So I'll write the class of it to card, and inside that everything will happen. Okay, so now we'll have an h2 with the class of heading, and I'll just simply write weather app, and if I do that, there we go, we are uh, reloading as expected. So now under this h2 we'll have two separate like main divs. So let's do a div, and this div will contain the input, the search button, and the reset button. Okay, so I'll name it, I will give it a class of input dash group. Okay, inside that we'll have the input, type is text, class will be input, and the placeholder will be enter a place or enter location. There we go. And also I do not like this empty ending tag, so I'll add a slash here. So yeah, you don't have to do that, but I'll do. Now again we'll have two buttons. So first button which will say search, and I'll give it a class of search btn, and I'll copy paste that. The next button will say reset, and we have the class name which is reset button. Okay, so as you can see, we have the enter location input, we have the search button, and we have the reset button. Nice. Now under this div we will have another div. So basically just under this input group div, okay, we'll have another div, and it will be an empty div. Here we have the class of weather section. So basically what will happen, whenever we will be fetching the data from the API, the OpenWeatherMap API, we will dynamically inject that data inside this div. So that is why it is empty. Okay, so yeah, and believe it or not, our HTML file is done. Okay, so yes, so this is the basic HTML. Now we'll have some CSS. So go to the styles.css and make sure that you have linked your style sheet with your index.html. Now what I want to use a font, a Google font, because this font is not looking good. So I'll go to the Google fonts.google.com, the Google fonts, and I'll search for Poppins. So there we go. And right now, what we can do, we can select the versions. What I'll do, I'll select the 400, dismiss, select the 400 just to make sure, select the 400 italic, 500 500 italic, 600 600 italic, and 700 700 italic. Okay, now here we have the import, so just click on this and copy this one and copy that and go inside your style sheet and paste that on the top. Okay, so import URL, this will be it. So what will it will do, it will import the Poppins font. So if we go to our application, nothing will happen because we haven't set our font family. So now what we'll do, we'll have some global styles. So we'll do asterisk and then margin 0, padding to 0, and box sizing to border box, and we'll set our font family to Poppins, and the fallback is sans serif. Okay, and if we hit save, there we go. So see, our font is changed now. Nice. Now we have this background class, so let's style our background. We'll have a nice gradient background. So just write background, and then inside that we have the width of 100 VW, height of 100 VH, and then we have our background, which will be a gradient. So first of all, what we can do, we can go to any sort of background generator. You can search for it. So I have previously generated a background which I will be using. So do a background, just background, and then do RGB, and then 174, then 120, and then 237, and again we have to do background, not background color, and here we have to set linear gradient just like that. And the first option is which angle should be the gradient, right? So I'll use the simple 90-degree. Okay, and then I'll do two colors. One will be RGB A, and then we'll do 174, and then 120, and then 237, and then 1, and after that we have the 0%, and hit the comma, and then again we have the RGBA function, and here we'll have 0, 115, and then 255, and then 1, and we have 100%. Okay, if we save that, and there we go, we have a nice background, nice gradient background, right? So now after that, see, our weather app and these inputs are on the top of the page, but we don't want that. We want that it should be at the center of the page. So what we can do, we can do display to flex, justify content to center, and align items to center as well. If we hit that, there we go, our weather app and the heading and everything is at the center now. Nice. Okay, now what we can do, we have this div, right? This is the card which contains everything, the input groups, the headings, and also the weather section, which we are not able to see it right away, but when we will be working with JavaScript, we will be able to see that. Now let's go under the background and do dot card, and we can style the card. So just do background will be white, okay, and then we'll have width of 600 pixels, height of 400 pixels. But if we do that, then what will happen, this will be the default height, so we don't want that. We want the min height. Minimum height should be the 400 pixel, and then we can do padding, not padding of 2 rem, okay, and then border radius of 10 pixel to make it a bit round. There we go. If we zoom out a bit, as you can see, because I was totally zoomed in, that is why it was looking something like that. But yeah, we have this one, and now we have but it will be nice if that card is a bit elevated. So what we can do a box shadow. So box shadow of RGBA, and we can pass 0, 0, 0, and for the opacity 0.35, and this will be the color, and then we can do the 0 pixel, 8 pixel, and 20 pixel. If we save that, there we go, we have a nice box shadow. So basically this RGBA function takes up 3 or 4 things. Well, the first one is the value for red, and second one is the value for green, and third one is for the blue, and this last one is for the opacity. If I do it 1, then see that shadow is getting too dark. So what we can do 0.35, so this will be good. Okay, so we have our card. Now let's style our heading. Okay, so dot heading, and then we can do text align to center, and then we can do margin bottom of 1 rem, and font size of 2.6 rem. You can obviously change that depending on your stylings. So but this is the styles which I'll be going for. Now again, we have styled our heading. Now we can style the input. So but before doing that, we have the input group class wrapped around, so we will be using that. So input dash group, and then what we can do display of flex and gap. We can do a gap of 10 pixel and margin of 2, not 1, 2 rem on the top and the bottom, and 0 in the left and the right. So this is nothing much changed, but now we will be styling our input. So dot input, because we have the class name for that inside the input. There we go. So now we can do width of 100%. Okay, now border of 1 pixel solid, and it will be hash BBB, so 6 B's, and then we can do padding of 10 pixel, and then we can do border radius of 6 pixel to make it a bit rounder, and then outline, not that, outline of none, and transition all 0.3 second is in. There we go. And if we hit save, as you can see, our input is looking good. Now whenever we are focusing on the input, there is no way that the user can see whether or not they have entered into the input or they are clicking inside the input. So to do that, then we can do the input, and then we can do the focus state. When the input is focused, then the border will be 1 pixel solid, and then we have the hex code of 0 to 8 DFF. And if we hit enter, now if I click inside the input, see the border color is changed. Nice. Again, we have the search and the reset button right now. So let's do that. So for the search button, we have the class name for that, search button and reset button. So do dot search btn, and we'll have padding of 0 in the top and bottom and 10 pixel on the left and right. Then border radius of 6 pixel, and then we have the background of, this is a hex color which is 0, which is the same one as this one. So we can copy that and paste that here. Nice. And then we can do border of none, outline of none as well, and we can do the color of the text will be white, and then we'll have the transition 0.3 seconds, transition all 0.3 seconds is in, and we'll have the cursor to pointer. There we go, our search button is looking good. Okay, now we can do some of the things like this one. We can copy that and paste it here to our reset button, because many of the things will be similar. Reset btn. So this is good, this is good. And for the color, we'll have a different color which will be ff0296, and if we hit enter, I believe the other things will be same. There we go. So we have the reset button as well, which is looking kind of good. Now whenever we are hovering over the search or the reset button, we do not have any sort of indications of that. So to do that, we can do the search btn colon hover and comma dot reset btn colon hover, and inside that we can add a filter and brightness of, we can reduce the brightness, so we can do 90%. There we go. And if we now hover it, so the brightness is getting reduced. So if I do it 80, that might be something we can do. Yeah, there we go. Okay, but I like the 90. This is a bit subtle, but I like that. Okay, so now our basic styling for our input, search button and the reset buttons are done. And now what we will do, we will start with the JavaScript. So before starting the JavaScript part, let's go to the OpenWeatherMap API website and let's discuss how we will be able to get the proper weather information for a particular place. Now, if we go to the OpenWeatherMap API, you have to log in. Please log in with your account, with your email and password, and you will get an API key as well, which I'll show. So inside this website, we can go to API and we'll have this page. So I was previously on this page, so that is why it was opened. Now we have the weather API and we have the current weather data, this first one. So let's right click on that or uh, open it in a new tab. So now what you can see, we have the endpoint which we can ping or which we can make the request with the latitude and the longitude with the particular place. Now here is the problem, which is like how we are able to get the latitude and the longitude of a particular place. Here we have another API from OpenWeatherMap, which is called the geocoding API, which is here as well. So if I control click on that, so if you scroll down here, we have the geocoding API, or you can get here from this link as well. Here is the latitude and the longitude portion. So if we see this, so we have another endpoint which we can ping with our API key, and the we can use the state code, we can use the city name, which we will be using. So we have a demo response here, like the request and the response, like example API call. So here we have set the place to London, and we have the limit set to 5. We will be setting it to 1, and we have the app ID, which is the API key. And inside that, if we scroll down, we have the latitude and the longitude. We have the country and we have the state, but we have the most important thing, which is the latitude and the longitude. So at first, whenever someone enters some data, some place name here in this input, we'll grab that data or that place name and send to the geocoding API, which will return us the latitude and the longitude. And then we'll grab that latitude and the longitude, and then we'll pass it to this API call here. And when we'll get the response, we'll have the proper weather information here. So this will be our application structure. First, we have to get the latitude and the longitude from the geocoding API, and then we'll have the based on the latitude and the longitude, we'll have the proper weather information from this current weather API. So yeah, so let's get started with the JavaScript. So if we go to here and make sure that your JavaScript file is connected with your HTML. Now what we can do uh, the things which is we have to do to grab the DOM elements. Like we have to grab this input, this button, and this button, right? And also, because we want to inject the data here, the weather section, we have to grab this one as well. After that, we'll use this div and we'll inject the dynamic data here. So let's start. Const search btn. It will be document dot query selector, and then we'll use the dot input. Again, we can copy paste that some 3 times more. So for this one, we'll have this not search btn, this will be the input. Sorry for that. Search input, and the second one will be the search btn, which will be search dash btn. The third one will be reset btn, so reset, and we'll have the reset btn, and the final one will be the weather section, and this will be weather section, just like this. Now, so what we can do, we can have some event listeners on this and this button click. So what we'll do is search btn.add event listener. When we'll click that, and then we can have an arrow function here. You can use normal function as well, no need to worry about that. And for now, just we can do console.log, and we can use the search input dot value, just like this. Okay, so now if we inspect it and make it a bit smaller and do New York and hit this search button, see, we have the console log. So everything is working. Please ignore this one, this is something coming from my extensions. So there we go. So now what we want to grab this search input dot value, which is this one, this string, and call this geocoding API with the data, like that particular value. Okay, so we can do what we can do, we can create a function which is called const fetch location data, which will be an async arrow function, because we will be making the request. That is why it will be an async arrow function, and we will be awaiting that request. So we will be working with the promises. So yeah, so this is the fetch location data, and inside that we'll have the location. Okay, now what we can do, if the location is empty string, right? So if the user is just spamming this button, see, this is the console log is happening, but we don't want to do that. We want to return, right? So we can have a check if location equals to an empty string, then we can just remove this one, this part, return. There we go. And if we do the fetch location data with search input dot value, okay, now if I enter this, so see, nothing is happening. Oh, because if I do a console dot log hi, so if I pressing this, nothing is happening. But if there is something and I press that, so see, this is working. Okay, now we'll use the fetch API for this one, so I'll make it a bit bigger. So now what we can do, const response equals to await fetch. Now we can use the backticks, because we will be using a dynamic value here, which is the location that user is passing here. We'll use that location and make the API call to this geocoding API. So what I can do, I am here in the geocoding API, and here in this example API call, I can copy that and then I can paste it here. Okay, now if we see here, we have the http api.openweathermap.org/geo/1.0, which is good. Direct queue, which is set to London, we don't want that. We want the location which is being passed. So not this one, and do location. So this location, right, we want to pass that here. Now the limit is basically how many objects you will get. So I have tested this API, and the first response which we get is the proper one most of the time. So I'll set the limit to 1, and we have to do the API key. Now what we can do, we can create a variable, the global variable. So const API underscore key, and here, like you can paste the API key here directly, but I'll not recommend that because this is a bit like not good for the security standpoint. So what we have to do, basically, first of all, we have to grab the API key, right? But before that, what we can do inside this root, we can, okay, just comment that out right now and save that, and we can create a file which is called .env. Okay, and inside that, what you can do, you can use the environment variables, and this is one of the main reasons why I went with Vite, because we will be using the environment variables. So this will be like Vite underscore app. So if you are using Vite, then your API keys must start with Vite app, and then we'll do open weather map underscore API underscore key. Okay, open weather map underscore API underscore key, and then you can do the equals to, and now you have to go to the OpenWeatherMap website, and if I zoom out a bit, okay, there we go. And once you log in, you will have this one, this drop down here, my services and my API keys. Click on this, and for this tutorial I have already created an API key, which is this one for the weather app. You can create the same by clicking on here. You can like create another API key. You have to give it a name. I have given the name of weather app. So I'll copy this API key, and once I do this, I'll paste that. And once again, please do not use my API key, use your own. After this video, I will destroy that API key. So we have our API key here set up, and now what we can do, we can uncomment that, and then we can do import. Oh, caps lock is still on. Import dot meta dot env dot, and then you can use this name. There we go, and this will be our API key here, right? And now inside this one, we can do a $sign and then API key, pass it here. There we go. Okay, now let's grab the data. So const data will be await response, not reset button, response dot json. And for now, what we can do, we can just do const, not const, just console dot log, and we can do the data. There we go. So technically now, when the users type a valid place, we should be able to see the location information in the console. So let's do that. New York, and hit search. Okay, we have the console, and there we go. So location names here, and we have the latitude here and the longitude here, which we want, and we have the name and the state. There we go. Nice job. So our thing is working. Okay, now what we can do, we can remove this console log, and we can have some variables here, global variables. So let latitude and let longitude latitude and longitude. Okay, and now if we have the data, right, remember we have the error message as well. So we will do that once we do this one, if we are able to find the data. If not, then we will show an error message. But now if we have the data, then we can do latitude equals to, and then data, and in the square bracket 0 because it is an array and we have the first element here, and then dot, and we have the lat, right? So dot lat. Same as the longitude, we will have the data, then 0, the first element, and then LON, because of here we have the LON, right? So this is the thing. Okay, we can check with data, but we can check with data dot length if there is a data length, right? If the array is not empty. So okay, now the thing is, what we want to do, we want to just call the API once again with this latitude and this longitude, this current not this one, this current weather data API, right? Now we can technically do everything here, but for the sake of simplicity, what we can do, we can create another function and then call the function here with the latitude and the longitude which we have got. Okay, so over here what we'll do, we will create a const fetch weather data, that will be another async function, and do this, right? And it will get the lat and longitude, right? It will get the latitude and the longitude. And now what we can do, we can call this function just here with the latitude and the longitude. There we go. Okay, so yeah, now inside that, once again we have to grab the data, the weather data now, not the location data. So what we can do, again just making a bit space, so const response is equals to await fetch, we will be using the fetch API once again, and then the template strings. And now what we can do, we can just copy this one, this API call one, right? How to make an API call, yeah, so we can copy that and paste it here. And for the, this one is good, for the latitude, we have the latitude here in the function parameter. So what we can do, we can go here, oh, why it is doing this, so we can go here and do a $sign and then lat, and do a $sign, and it was lat by default, but it is not long, it is lng for longitude. Okay, and we have the API key once again, so we will use the $sign and then we will pass the API key. Nice. Okay, and now what we can do, const data once again await response dot json. Okay, and there we go, and just console log console dot log the data. Let's see if it works. So if we go here and then see New York and hit search, yeah, nice, there we go. We have the main, the temperature, feels like humidity, and so on and so forth. Nice, nice, nice. And we have the weather, and we have the description, and yeah, and we have the icon as well, which we'll use in the later part of the video. So okay, so we are making nice progress. Now what we can do, we can just delete the console log, and now there are so many things which we want to render into the screen, right? So to do that, we have to make some of the variables here. So now first one, let current location, and then I can copy that quite a few of times. Then the second one will be the temp for the temperature. The third one will be feels like. The another one will be humidity. Other one will be weather condition. So condition. Other one will be weather description, and another one will be weather icon, the image, remember. And then we have two more, the wind degree and wind speed. There we go. These are some of the variables which we want. Now, so right now what is happening is that this is kind of empty, right? This place is kind of empty. So it will be great if we have some message to show here. Okay, so we can do another thing like let message and equals to a template string, and we can use the HTML tags to render the text here. We will be doing that in a bit. So h2, I'll do that, and then close the h2 here, and we do a class of initial message dash message, and we can write something like get the weather of any location on earth just search the location and get the proper weather information. There we go. So it is just a variable right now. It is not being used, but we will use that. And what we can do here right now is wind, not wind. We have the weather section, right? We can do weather section dot inner HTML will be message, something like that. There we go. We have the message here, but we will style that in a bit. Okay, so when the weather is fetching, then we don't want to show this message, right? This one. So what we can do the weather section dot inner HTML to an empty string. There we go. Okay, so this is the thing. Now if we have the data, right, if data, then what we want to do, we want to do some of the things. We want to set every variable here so that we can render that. So to do that, we can do the current location equals to set an template string, and inside that we can do data dot name and give it a comma and space, and then data dot sys dot country, like that. Now you might be thinking, okay, what the hell is going on? So this, if we do New York and hit search, okay, we have we are missing the console.log data, and if we do New York and hit search, if we go here, so this is the name here, the New York, and inside the SYS we have the country here, so we are just setting up the location to that. Okay, hope that makes sense. So basically we are grabbing the data from this structure, this JSON response. So then we'll have the temp will be data dot main dot temp. Basically here inside the main we have the data, which is this, then we have the main, and then we have the temp, which is this. Okay, again after that we can do feels like to this feels like. I'm just copying that from here. Okay, again we have the humidity, so humidity will be this humidity, right? Okay, we lost that because I saved that. So New York, again search, there we go. And now as you can see, after doing the search, this this is the weather section.inner.html is being set to an empty string, but it will not, because we will set to another thing. Okay, so here it is, the humidity, and then I'll just copy paste that quite a few times. Then we have the humidity, and after that we have the weather condition. That will be data dot, we go here weather 0, and then just the main. So data dot weather 0 dot main, and then we'll have the weather description will be data dot weather 0 dot, we have the description, and then what we have the weather icon. See, we have the icon here, so we can do the weather icon, and then we can do the data dot weather and slash, not slash, opening the brackets, and then 0, and then icon. Okay, we are grabbing the icon. We have two more things, the wind degree, which will be data.wind.dig. So data.wind, where is that? This is the wind. Okay, so wind dig, so data.wind.dig degree, and wind speed will be data.wind.speed. There we go. Now we have everything which we need. Now what we want to do, we want to create a structure, and then we want to inject that structure here inside the weather section. So let's do that. Okay, and then what we can do, basically remember, this is the message template which we use. So we will use something similar to this. We will create an HTML template, and then we will inject that template. So let's go, and this might be a bit intimidating, so just bear with me. So after this, like not after, inside this if statement, right now we can do a template. So const weather template equals to an template string, and now here is the difficult part, we have to write some of the HTML by hand. So let's see, div, let's do a div, and slash div, not div. I hate that. So inside that we'll have the class which will be weather info, because once it is done, then we will style that. Okay, then inside this div we will have another div slash div, closing that div out, and this div will not have any class. Okay, so inside that what we can do, we can have the location, so we can do an h3 and then close the h3. Okay, and we can do a class of location, and then we can do location, and now here is the fun part, we can render the current location, right? Okay, so everything is going away, just making the window a bit bigger. There we go. So now once it is done, then what we'll do, we'll have h4 and then slash h4. Okay, and we can do inside that temperature information here, and we can do a class of weather section subheading, weather section subheading, just like this, and this is for the just the heading. And then after this we can have a p tag, and in that that p tag here, and we can do temperature, not temperature temperature, which will be $, our temp, and we have to show the degree sign, so we can do %, and then degree, deg, and then semicolon and c. Okay, now one thing I have to mention here, basically whenever we are getting the information from here, okay, from this weather API, we will be getting the information in the the Kelvin, the weather temperature, and so on and so forth. So what we can do, we can use the metric as well. So to do that, if we want to get the the units to be metric, like the Celsius, or you can do the Fahrenheit as well, I'll show you. If we go to here in the current weather API, and if we do a search of like this one, this is the default is Kelvin, metric is Celsius, and imperial is Fahrenheit. You can do anything, right? So if I do the units and measurement, see, we can pass the units to metric. So just copy that, and then we can pass it to here. Is that correct? Yes, this is the data. Yeah, this is correct. So this is in the degree. Nice. Now what we can do, we can do another thing, which is just copy that and then feels like, and here it will be feels like. Okay, and then we can copy paste that once again and do humidity, and it will be humidity, and this humidity will have the percentage, not the degree. Okay, so just a % sign. There we go. Okay, now inside that we have another h4, so I'm just copying this one. This all will have the same thing, like the same class names, and paste that here, and we have the weather information. This was the temperature information, and this will be the weather information, right? And inside that we can do the same things, just copy that p tag and paste it here, and inside this p tag we'll have the weather. So weather, and this will be the weather condition, and then weather description, or you can do the weather condition. So you can call it anything. So weather description. Nice. And we have two more things. So first thing is, once again I'll copy this one, this h4, and then paste it here. So I know this is a bit harder to follow because we do not have any sort of syntax highlighting, but sorry for that, but it is the optimal way to do this. So what we can do, inside this h4 we can do wind information, the wind information, and we can just copy this one, this p tag, and then paste it here. And here we can do the degree. So degree, and it will be wind dig, and then we'll have the wind speed. It will be the wind speed. There we go. Just okay. So I'll make sure to bigger this window. So this is, as of now, the HTML structure. So you can pause this video right now and you can do the things right here. Right, and now remember we had the icon, the weather icon. So OpenWeatherMap gives us the icons as well. So if we go to the Google and search OpenWeatherMap icons and weather conditions here, and see here we have the icons. Like this will be the icons which OpenWeatherMap provides depending on the day and the night and depending on the weather. So to grab this icon, we have to use this URL, right? And see, it has the 10D. So 10D is this image. So if I open that in a new tab, see, this is the image. So we have to use this one for the source, this URL. So now, so we have this div right now here, and after this div, open another div and close that. Okay, and now we can do an image tag. So G, close that image tag, and then src, and then we will paste that URL, and we'll have the alt, which will be the weather condition. Okay, so now what we can do, we can just grab this URL here. So this is under the weather conditions. So openweathermap.org/image/wn. So there we go, and we'll paste that here. Now this 10D, it is not valid, right? So this will be changing, because if we do once again New York and hit search, there we go. Under the weather we have the icon here, which is 02D. So basically we have to change that. So to do that, just delete this portion, this 10D part right now, and then open this one, and we have to pass the weather icon right now. There we go. So we have successfully created the template, and after creating the template, what we have to do, we have to create a div, and we have to just inject that this template inside that. So this template is ending here, and after that we can do const container div will be document dot create element, and we can use div. Okay, and then container div dot inner html is equals to this template, weather template. Okay, yeah, and then what we can do, weather section dot append, we can append the container div. Okay, so this is the moment of truth. Just go here and okay, moment of truth. So what we did, just to recap, we have created the container div, and then container div dot inner html is equals to weather template, and then we are appending to that weather section here. Okay, so if we do New York and hit search, there we go. Nice. So everything is working and we have everything set up properly, right? Oh, by the way, for the wind degree, I missed something. So here, this is the degree, and we can do the and dig and semicolon, and this will be the meter per second. Meter per second. There we go. If we do this, okay, just opening up that, and if we do New York and hit search, there we go. But this image size is kind of small right now, so what we can do is, in the image source here we have the 2x, right? This is indicating the size. We can do the 4x. If we do that, save it, and then if we go here and then again New York and hit search, there we go. We are getting the bigger image. Fine. Now the only thing is left to style this one, and also to do some of the messages and stuff, like the error messages, and that will be it. And also the reset button as well. The reset button isn't working. So let's do the styling part at first, because that will be the quite simple one. So just do that, do this. Now under the search btn, in the weather section, we can do margin top of 1 rem. Okay, that will be it. And if we hit that, save that. Okay, and now we can do the weather info, weather dash info. Remember, where is the weather info is coming? Weather info is here. Okay, now inside the weather info we can do display flex, align items center, and justify content, justify content space between. So we are setting it to here now. And also if we go here in the main.js, and if we do, so this image is kind of not looking good. So what we can do, we can do a class of image container. There we go. But we are getting losing the data. So New York, and if we hit search, there we go. So this is the weather info. After that we have the paragraphs, right? So dot weather info and p, and then what we can do, margin bottom, this is getting in the way, margin bottom 10 pixel, so everything is kind of spaced out. And then we can do h3 dot location, So the h3, which is this one, and we can do a margin bottom of that as well, margin bottom of 10 pixel. So yeah, and then we have the h4s like these ones. These are the h4s. So h4 dot weather section subheading, weather section subheading, not double D, it is a single D. So subheading, and margin will be top and bottom 10 pixel, and left and right will be 0. So this is a bit spaced out. Okay, and for the initial message, if we refresh that, we have this initial message. So dot initial message, we can do text align to center, and we can do margin top up to rem, and we can do color of hash 5 5e 5e 5e. So there we go, looking nice. And one thing, the image container as well. So New York, if we do that, inside the image container dot image dash container, we can do padding of 1 rem, and then we can do background color of hash d1 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 d1. Okay, and then we can do border radius of 50% and display flex, align items center, and justify content to center. There we go, this is our image, looking nice. Now one thing which we just missed out, the error message. So for this one, I'll just creating the class before, the CSS before, and then we can do that. So this is a quite simple. So error dash message, and then we can do the text align to center, and margin top to 10 pixel, and we can do the color of hash ff, this one 2096, which is the color of this reset button. There we go. Okay, now let's work with this reset button. So let's do that. So for this reset button, what we can do, under this search button, we can do reset button dot add event listener on click, and then we can do an arrow function and call the reset function. There we go, which we do not have right now. So just go to the top, at the top, and we can do the reset function here. So const reset function, there we go. And what we want to do, we want to do the weather section dot inner HTML to the initial message, and search input dot value will be an empty string. Okay, it is const. There we go, this is the reset button. So let's try that out. So if I do New York and hit search, we have the like this thing, the weather information, and if we hit the reset button, there we go, the reset button is working. Nice, nice, nice. Now what we can do, so we have to do the error message just. Okay, so we have the data.length here, right, inside the fetch location data. If we are not able to fetch the proper location data, then what we can do, so if the data is empty. If the location is not real, then this data array will be empty. So then we can do else if the data dot length equals to 0. If that is the case, then const message container equals to uh, document dot create element, and we want to create an element of p tag. And then what we can do the message container dot class name of error message, just this class name, we want to add that. And then message container dot text content. I did not created a quick sort of a template for that because I want to show you the different ways to do the things. So here we can do like, sorry, we are not able to find, we are not able to find the weather for the place, the weather for the place entered. There we go. And then we can just weather section dot append child the message container. There we go. Okay, and also regarding this one, yeah, I think that should be it. So let's try this out. So if we go here and do New York, there you go, hit search. Okay, everything is fine, reset is fine. And if we do something like gibberish and then hit search, our message is visible right now. Cool. So this is working and the reset is working as well. Okay, so now if we do New York search, okay, do the Florida. Yep, there we go. And we can do the console log where we have a console log somewhere else. There we go. We can remove this console log altogether. So now if we are doing something like Japan, let's see, yeah, Japan. Okay, this is not correct, but yeah, this is the API data. We cannot do anything, but the total information is formatted properly. And if we do something like I don't know, Oslo. Okay, so in Oslo it is snowing. So yeah, this is kind of cool. So yes, I think that is it. So congratulations on building this application with me. This is a really great application for the beginners, and I hope you learned so much from this application. And yeah, let's catch up in the next one.